It's the Duffin Up Podcast. All right, everyone, we have on a very, very special guest for all the Duff Daddies and Duff Mamas out there. This man, a legend of the game in Rhode Island, started a company back in 2004 around a fantastic idea to make a great sports drink. What they were able to do is they were able to pivot back in 2014, I think it was. I want to get that correct. But that's 2014, correct. They went straight back, pivoted into a golf brand. And ever since then, they have been helping out not only the Rhode Island community through many different charitable organizations, but they've also been able to really grow the game within the Southern New England area. So I do want to welcome on the founder and CEO of Swing Juice, Jon Mason, to the Duffin Up Podcast. Jon, how are we doing tonight, man?
I was thinking that is quite the intro. I might have to take you around as like my hype man anytime I do a podcast or anything. So thank you for the intro, and I'm glad to be here.
Don't wish upon anything that you won't want.
Oh my God!
Bring it on.
Watch out. Brian's just please don't bring up South Carolina, Jon. Just please don't bring up South Carolina and we'll have a good episode.
More specifically, Hilton Head. Yeah, definitely don't bring that
up. I will keep that out of my mouth.
Oh, man. That's okay. We got the lighthouse back there, Brian. Do you see it? We got the lighthouse on the top of the club.
He's the biggest Hilton Head fangirl there is out there.
It's Tiger fangirling and Hilton Head, South Carolina fangirling. It's just all into one, baby.
All right. We both got our head covers going in our
There you go. That works.
Oh, man. But Jon, I know we did talk about this before, but I do want to ask it for the listeners. Do we still have some of the old legitimate Swing Juice from 2004?
You know, it's funny. Different parts of my house, I'll walk around and I'll see remnants of the old Swing Juice. But since you asked, I just have some on. This is my home office. I have some on the desk. So I have a couple bottles up there. I don't know if you can see in the corner over there, kind of the evolution of the actual Swing Juice energy drink. But yeah, I have some. I wouldn't drink this right now. I don't know what the expiration date is, but I do have it.
That can go to a museum down the road.
Yeah, this is part of the Swing. I always say that, to my wife and anybody that asks. I'm like, this is just going to go in the Swing Juice museum one day.
Yeah, it's a good hoarder excuse. Be like,
right, exactly.
Or when you become president, your presidential library. Exactly.
There you go. When it's built somewhere in my backyard.
Oh, that is funny.
That's something Rhode Island is missing, is a presidential library.
I know. Have to get a president first.
Yeah, right.
We can start somewhere.
Lincoln Chafee was our hope guy. Lincoln Chafee was the hope. He got 0.5% of that vote one time. It was great.
I was rooting Buddy Cianci. I was hoping he would go up
Buddy. Buddy. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to meet Buddy, rest in peace.
Yep.
Several times, but yeah, he was something.
You want to talk about the old Gilded Age? Buddy Cianci would have brought back that corruption so quick down in DC.
He made Providence what it is, and
he did.
My dad was a Providence firefighter for 30 years, and there's a really cool old photo of Tim and I. Like sitting on Buddy Cianci's lap when he was doing his mayoral campaign, and Tim and I were just these tiny little kids with blonde bowl cuts and just on Buddy Cianci's lap. It's one of my favorite photos. I gotta have to take that out of the archives.
That's great. Yeah, I'd like to check that out.
but
so
yeah.
Jon, tell us about the start of Swing Juice. How'd you get the idea for the beverage, and then tell us when you were like, all right, let's switch it up, and tell us where you are now.
Yeah, so this really kind of when I think of the beginning of Swing Juice, this goes way back. Not sure how old all of you guys are, but I originally came up with the idea for Swing Juice in 2003. And so, when I kind of think back to that time, I was really starting to get obsessed with the game of golf just in general. I was playing a lot of golf before I had kids. I was playing with all my friends. None of us were married. So we had like all this free time in the world. So we just started to really play the game of golf, and at that time, there were two things that I was obsessed with. I was obsessed with the energy drink in enhanced water space for whatever reason, because I was always a marketing guy. Went to Providence College here, and I was a marketing major. So marketing has always kind of been part of my thing, just an idea guy across all industries. So I was really obsessed with the emergence of a lot of these energy drinks that were on the market, Red Bull and vitamin water and Monster. There was probably 100 at the time, where a lot of what they were doing, they were all independent at the time, which I found fascinating, because they were all doing like different marketing activities that, from a guerrilla marketing standpoint, to really get out there, which I found, again, I found it fascinating that these beverages kind of popped up out of nowhere, and they were just really taking a hold of the industry, and they were really taking the place of Gatorade at the time, Powerade at the time. So I don't know, I just found it fascinating. And so at that same time, I was really obsessed with the game of golf, playing a lot of golf. And one particular time, a friend of mine, another former friar, he said to me, we were trying to make a tee time for a Saturday morning, and he said, "Hey, we have a." He called me on a Friday night. He's like, "I made a tee time for tomorrow morning, 6:30. We were early morning tee time." And my first reaction was like, 6:30. Wow, that's you really really want to get there early. And he's like, "Hey, no big deal. We'll just drink our swing juice and we'll be ready to go." And like the second he said that, I was like, "Wow, that'd be kind of a cool name for." And all he said was swing juice. And I had heard, people reference swing juice, as more of like an alcoholic beverage, right? Drink your swing juice in the round beer, whatever you drink. But the second he said that, for whatever reason, it just immediately clicked off in my head. Like, that would be a cool name for like a golf energy drink. And it was just, again, it just happened to be the time that I was, like getting really obsessive about golf, and also really obsessive about energy drinks. So, thought about it all night, thought about it all day, the next morning, around the golf. Second I came home that day, I literally got on my computer and just looked up swing juice and couldn't find it. I went to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website, looked up to see if swing juice, if anybody had owned that name or had a product out there called swing juice, and there was nothing. Nobody owned the name, nobody had the product. So I immediately bought the trademark. Went to check to see if anybody had the domain name, swingjuice.com, swingjuice.org, swingjuice.net. Nobody owned the name Swing Juice. So right then and there, bought the domain name Swing Juice. So on that Saturday, so from the night before, I heard the name, made the connection. I'm like, "Oh, that'd be a cool name for a golf energy drink." Played golf the next day, on the IP for Swing Juice. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. So, so again, this is like July, I want to say July 2003. So from July 2003 till about, I want to say about July 2004, I just really did a deep dive into the beverage industry, because my thought was I wanted to make a golf energy drink, but I had no experience in doing that. I'd never started a business at that point, let alone try to create a product out of thin air. So I really just became super obsessive again. I guess that's really part of my personality. I get obsessed with things. I did a deep dive in the beverage industry, and I decided I wanted the drink to be a mix between a Red Bull and a vitamin water. So an enhanced water and an energy drink. And the reason I chose that is I thought, okay, well, energy drinks really get you jacked up, and I don't want that feeling, but there's good benefits because caffeine and some of the other ingredients help with your focus. And then I wanted it to be an all natural product, like more like a vitamin water, because I really wanted to get the product into Whole Foods. And I thought, Whole Foods is a good, marker to talk to the quality of the product. So, over the course of that year, I just really figured out what was in an energy drink. I studied all the ingredients. I bought literally every single energy drink that was on the market at the time, tested them all, kind of figured out what they did and what the ingredients did. So in that time period, I basically created a formula for the beverage. I called around to about 100 different co-packers, which are contract packagers. You basically hire them to make your product. Almost all of them said no. And the caveat there was, if you want to do this, then you have to, produce like 10,000 cases. And I'm like, I can't produce 10,000 cases of an idea. I don't have room in my apartment. I don't know where I would put 10,000 cases. So I finally found a lab in Utah of all places. They were said they would do it for 3 cases. So that's really how Swing Juice was born. And then from that point forward, made some samples, figured out a good flavor profile. And then we did a small production. I printed out some labels on my computer at home, just really like taped them together, and put those cases in my trunk, and just kind of drove around and see if I could get some traction to see if anybody would take on this product.
What were you targeting? Were you going to golf courses? Were you going to convenience stores, or both?
Initially, it was all golf courses. I thought, all right, Swing Juice energy drink. And another reason why I focus on golf, to me, it was like a lower barrier of entry and trying to get into a market. Like, again, supermarkets typically have a long process. Convenience stores, may not have that hard of a process, but there's a lot of competition there. So I thought, all right, well, nobody's really focusing on golf courses, and which was true at the time. And it was just Gatorade or Powerade. That's all you could get there. There was no, even back then, there was no Red Bull or vitamin water. So the initial target was golf courses, and as things developed with the product and the different flavor profiles, it started to expand. We ended up getting into Whole Foods. I say we, it was me. Ended up getting into Whole Foods, and then over the course from 2004 till about 2013, at the high point of selling Swing Juice energy drink, we had 4 flavors. And we had about 300 locations that were carrying the product, and this was mostly self-distributed within New England. So it was a tall task, a lot of work, but I loved every second of it.
That's like that's just the dream there. I mean, it's just from the initial, like, kind of hallelujah, the skies open up when you hear the phrase Swing Juice, because I mean, marketing, half the battle is just getting a name that sticks. And it's kind of, I mean, not the half the battle, I'm really underselling marketing, but just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you have a name that is recognizable, memorable, it sells itself. I mean, it's not this long, complex name that a word that people haven't even heard of before, but it's Swing Juice. It's a common phrase, like you said, to kind of loop the joints with some liquor and
Yep.
get the swings flowing freely. And so, but you took a whole different spin on it, and made it even better. And just the way that you were able to pivot and kind of go off of the demand of the market, from the energy drink heyday to apparel now. And it's just fascinating. And so just kind of when you were going to say, like, to golf courses and trying to sell to them, is kind of like your barrier of entry. Is it just like the head pro or the guy running the pro shop, and just kind of being like, hey, put this in here. It's saving you a trip they're probably going to Costco or BJ's
Right.
to stock their pro shops for smaller courses.
Right. Yeah. I think every course, it really differs. Like a lot of courses, it is the pro, or there is a manager who acts as the food and beverage manager, and the that buys the merch for the pro shop. So it really depends on the type of location. But yeah, I just basically would go and go right into the pro shop and ask, like, who buys the food, who buys the beverage here. And then it's either me or whoever else, somebody within the club. So it's definitely a lot of knocking on doors, making phone calls, trying to get appointments, that whole deal, for sure.
Who was number one? Who is the first?
Number one was this course in Plymouth. What is the name of it?
Pine Hills?
Not Pine Hills.
I was gonna say probably not Old Sandwich, knowing this.
Not Old Sandwich. I don't think Old Sandwich was around back then. Crosswinds. Crosswinds was the number one course to purchase Swing Juice.
That's cool.
I have their, like, check stub somewhere around here.
Gotta frame that, put it in the museum.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's part of the archives that are I'm collecting.
All right, so I gotta ask, you have some of the for those of you who don't know, he has a Dynamite clothing line right now. I mean, who designs these clothes, these quarter zips, these hoodies, the hats. Like the first taste I ever got of Swing Juice was, first of all, you donated a prize to the Portsmouth firefighters for their cornhole tournament. So thank you very much for doing that.
My pleasure.
And then so my girlfriend actually won a bunch of it. She won this.
Nice.
She won this, which is dynamite, which is phenomenal. I mean, this was just great.
Oh,
and
I love it.
So then I went down a deep dive and I looked at the website and everything. So tell me, who is designing these clothes? How are you making your clothes that much better than the competition? Because if you log on and see these designs, I mean, how can you not buy them?
Well, again, thank you for the kind words, and it's yours truly. It's I like to sort of explain that, kind of what you see and you experience, like either on our website or if you actually own some of our clothing. It's just how my brain works. I've tried to combine like my two favorite things in every little aspect of our clothing, whether it be like the golf and vodka, golf and hip hop, golf and tacos. When I first came up with these designs, when I was making the pivot from beverage to apparel, I literally just said to myself, why don't I just put together some cool designs? Because there really wasn't anything in the industry at the time that I saw that I personally liked. So I tried to take my two favorite things and put them together. And so I come up with all of the concepts and the designs that you currently see, on our website. And, we have a couple of graphic designers that we work with. And, I basically, that's my brain. I'm constantly thinking of new ideas and new designs and new concepts, and I'll make notes and then kind of sketch it out, and then I'll get together with one of our designers, and we'll go back and forth and see what if it comes close to like what's in my head. Most times we nail it after a few passes, and then we make it live. So it's really the whole idea for me was to try to put a fun different spin on what's currently out in the industry. And that's really been the evolution of, first we started out with t-shirts, and then we moved to more performance gear, and even just like picking the materials for the t-shirts and the performance gear. I wanted to be something that you could wear every day, not just something that you would, wear once and put at the bottom of your closet, not just a polo you'd wear one or two times, and once you sweat through it, it's done, something that you can constantly wear round after round, or, when you're off the course, go to the bar, 19th hole, whatever you want to do. And then just, look good, play good, and, hopefully feel that vibe of, having a fun, kind of lifestyle feel of the game of golf. And you can wear it day in and day out.
I mean, I will say, I know you guys have, number one, everything on here is fantastic, but when you guys do your Masters collection every year, like just the sayings that you guys come up with are some of the funnest things. Like, when you do like the one weekend in April, like I love all this stuff, man. It's great. It's so much fun to see that you guys, we're able to kind of take this idea of, the original product, kind of pivot into more the brand and clothing. And, you guys have become, exactly what Brian said earlier, since he's wearing the shirt. Like, you were at the US Open last year. You guys have gone through and are now, at many different pro shops and everywhere across the country too. Like, it's awesome to see someone who's also local, because, I grew up in Attleboro, and, Tim and Brian grew up in Lincoln. Like, it's just great to see that there is like this local presence, and you can do this. So that, for me, at least, that's what I take away from it. I think it's fantastic. I do want to ask, going into it, so when you're doing it, because I know you guys have a great partnership with Coors Light. I know you've done a lot of stuff with different veterans organizations as well. When you approach that, what is that conversation kind of like, where you're just like, hey, like, we want to work with you on this side. Like, we want to use like your logos and everything like that. And like, how many times do you get like we love this idea, let's do it? And how many times do you get no? Like, I feel like it's more often than not, like, for everything you get the no, but like, definitely want to hear what your thoughts are from that side, kind of being able to build it from there.
Yeah. So, really, I think with any sort of business that you, any business venture, like even like with you guys with your podcast, I'm sure you go through these ebbs and flows where you do get a lot of rejection, but there are times where you reach out to somebody and they get you right away. And that's what, like, all the partnerships that we've created so far, like with the USGA, Coors Light, the Major League Baseball Players Association, all of those really were spawned out of people gravitating towards our brand. So, Coors Light's a great example, and this was kind of an interesting one that happened last summer. So do you obviously you guys remember the match last summer with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers. So during that broadcast, like Ernie Johnson, I think JJ Watt and Charles Barkley were the commentators. So they get to Patrick Mahomes and he's like slamming Coors Lights. He's just like slamming Coors Lights as he's playing, and then he starts to play like really well. So Ernie Johnson, they're all mic'd up, and he gets on the Patrick, how you doing? It seems like you're stringing a good round here together. And I noticed you started, partaking a little early. He goes, how's that swing juice helping you? And Mahomes is like, yeah, it's helping me. I don't want to do too much, but blah, 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 blah. So, Ernie Johnson says swing juice again. And then like all of a sudden Twitter starts like blowing up, like swing juice, swing juice, swing juice, swing juice with Twitter. So I'm like retweeting every mention of swing juice. I think it trended that day, like that night, because they kept showing Mahomes and he's making birdie after birdie, hitting great shot after great shot. He's sucking down Coors Lights. Ernie Johnson's asking him about swing juice. JJ Watt's asking him about swing juice. And I'm just retweeting all this stuff. And again, I know that they're not talking about like our swing juice, but they're talking about swing juice. So that night, I'm like, wow, I gotta reach out to Coors Light, because this is like, there's like something here. They're clearly referencing what Mahomes is drinking, which is Coors Light, in swing juice, which they're connotating towards helping his golf game. So, I'm looking up to see who I could reach out to Coors Light. And then, of course, they're a massive corporation, and there's a billion people that work there. So literally a day later, one of the VPs of marketing reached out to me from Coors Light and was like, hey, John, I don't know if you saw the match last night, but everyone is talking about swing juice and Coors Light. Can we talk and see if there's something there? And I'm like, absolutely. So we get on a call like 2 days later, and we talked, we recap the match and everything. And so what they wanted to do, their idea was like, listen, let's put together a licensing agreement that you can use our marks, our Coors Light logos, and all the different aspects of our brand. And what they wanted to do was to create this little capsule of a design that you see on our site that we send to Patrick Mahomes, because he was 2 weeks out from playing the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe, with all the different celebrities. A lot of athletes play. Justin Timberlake plays, that whole drill. And they're like, all right, we'll send it to him and we'll get him to post about it, because we put together a contest with Coors Light to create this capsule that said that swing juice life, and it had a t-shirt, a polo, and a hoodie, and we're giving that away. So to launch this contest, they were going to have Patrick, put the shirt on, do a little social media thing with it, and launch it. So I put together the design, they approved it. We printed up a bunch, sent them to Patrick out in Lake Tahoe. I mean, this was literally like a 2-week time period. And so I'm talking with the Coors Light people. The product arrived on a Thursday. I think they're supposed to start to play Friday. And then I get a call from Coors Light that Patrick's team won't do it because he's an Adidas ambassador, and Adidas didn't want him to promote another clothing brand. So I was like, damn, we were this close, because that was about to blow up. It was about to blow up. So that was a bummer. But at the same time, like still to this day, like our Coors Light collection is one of our top selling collections. Like, so it's still, we launched it and it still did extremely well. The contest went really well. So now we're in the process of trying to figure out additional initiatives with Coors Light, because it was a really successful launch. So that, piece with Patrick Mahomes didn't work out, but it still ended up being a really good partnership.
Wow.
I mean, that just sounds amazing. like
would've been
now it's gonna make me want to have a Coors Light here real quick. And I don't even well, no, we're not gonna say that. We're not gonna get John in trouble. We're not gonna say anything on that side. So, but I could definitely see like Adidas kind of being like, nah, like no, we're
Yeah,
not doing
no, I mean they pay him a lot of money, and I thought we were gonna be able to pull it off, but hey, we tried.
Currently looking at your Swing Juice community page, and it's an impressive lineup of what brand ambassadors you have, celebrities, influencers alike, golfers. I see Leishman, and Big Leash, as Brendan
Yep.
likes to say.
Oh my God. I used to do, oh God. Yep. So I used to do, when Leishman was still on the PGA tour, we used to do daily fantasy all the time. And I used to pick him because he used to be cheap and he used to make the cut all the time.
Yeah.
And so like, I would
Super
do a silly little like Australian accent and I would be like, my name's Mark Leishman. They call me Big Leish. I'm 6 foot a billion and I hit the ball 350 yards, but I can't make a 3-foot putt to save my life. And I was just like, I would do that. And it was stupid, but we still like Leishman, even though we went somewhere else. We still like him, but we just can't bet on him anymore.
Yeah. No, he's it's funny. We've partnered with them, obviously, that you saw on the site. And him and his wife, they have a charity tournament called the Begin Again Foundation. I don't know if you've read her story. This was I forget what year the Masters. She came down with sepsis, which is a really terrible bacterial infection in the body, and this was like during Masters week, and it was a really terrible situation. But anyway, fast forward, she came through it all, and they have a great foundation that we do some work with, partner with them on some t-shirts from a charity perspective. So they're great. Leash is great. They just have a great thing going on. So, but yeah, it's been been really fortunate to meet some great people throughout this whole time. One of the things I've done from the very beginning with the beverage to even now is just kind of network my face off throughout this whole process, because again, like I was a golfer at the time when I first started the beverage, but I wasn't in the golf industry. So I've kind of, made my way through the golf industry. And over that time, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to meet, a lot of great people. So, I'm excited to see what the days ahead look like.
Another thing I want to share to the listeners, I mean, when you log onto the website and you go to first of all, his clothing line is affordable. And that's what I want to I got to buy a hoodie. I got to do this. $45 for a hoodie. I mean, I'm going to any other website and I'm looking at a hoodie and it's going to cost me $60. Easy. Yeah. And then, so I'm going to that. And then I'm looking through these hoodies, and this has nothing to do with golf, and they're going to roll their eyes at me but I love the hoodie. My favorite one is Baseball Isn't Boring.
Yes.
Phenomenal hoodie. I don't know who thought of that one, but great stuff. But just if you get a chance, anyone who's listening, go look. And if you cannot find anything you like, I'll be hard pressed. I'll be very surprised because just the amount of, go to the drop down menus. There's
I've been doing this whole time. It's insane. I'm on the shows and events page, seeing that he's going to be at the Northeast Golf Show this weekend.
Yeah.
Next weekend. And I sent the text to all of you. Oh man, that's hilarious. So we were on it. We have a text chain, and I literally said, hey, do you guys want to go next? Because it's at Foxborough, right? So it's at
Foxborough. Yeah.
So I sent him a text, and they were like, yeah, does anyone want to go next week? It seems like a good Saturday thing, because Friday, St. Patrick's Day, and we're Irish.
That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, God. Trying to get out of the city.
Brian's up in Brian's up in Brookline, so I may go in for the Sunday events, but like definitely Saturday not going in.
I was gonna say, I know I was thinking, because I thought it was this weekend. I got distracted in that text chain. I almost missed this podcast because that was the text before the Northeast Golf Show. So I all my scheduling's off, but so I was thinking it was this weekend. And
Yeah, you guys gonna go? I'll be there. You guys should definitely swing through. It's a great, we did it last year for the first time, and it's again, as we get like a little bit closer to golf season, it's like you just need these like little
oh my
these
goodness,
little like
yeah.
teasers that kind of get the blood flowing. So it's a perfect way to kind of get, as we're getting closer to the warmer weather, the Masters, and the spring and the beginning of golf season. This is a good way to kind of get your fix while we hopefully avoid snow for the next month.
Yeah,
I don't know if you meant to do it, but or if it was a pun intended or not. But you said, I don't know, just come on and swing through. So
I do it all the time. So it's like second nature to me. That was intended, no pun intended, but it was 100% intended.
No, I love that. That's great. And so we did see, like, obviously, starting out in golf, Tim's a big seam head, loves baseball. So we saw baseball isn't boring. I see pickleball in there. What made you guys kind of decide to branch out just from kind of, a golf centric clothing line, having great success in it? And obviously I'm sure because pickleball is like a major success sporting wise now, but like transferring out into baseball, into pickleball, into, what we already talked about, everything else, especially this, I do love the States. So I do love that one, but being able to go into all of these different areas, like what made you guys decide to be like, okay, we've got a good path on the golf side. Let's try pickleball. Let's try baseball. Let's see what other sports we can get into as well. What kind of made you guys decide to go down that route?
So, it's funny, like, again, when I look back to like some of the ideas that I had when I originally started the beverage, I think one of the first things I said to myself when I was trying to plan out like what this would look like, and I decided on the beverage, I said, I would love for this to be a lifestyle brand. I didn't really know what that meant, but I think now that I'm seeing where we're like evolving to, that's what this has become. So really a lot of it really has, I've taken cues from like what customers and followers of ours have reached out. Somebody will reach out and say, oh, you guys should look into baseball. Well, baseball's natural because it's a swinging sport. Same thing with like pickleball is like the most popular sport in the world right now. And really how we got into pickleball was, I'd met somebody at the PGA show last year, and this guy ended up becoming a client of ours, but they own this cool chain down in Alpharetta, Georgia, called Fairway Social. It's like a restaurant concept, but like really golf heavy. But he's like, oh, why don't you guys should look into pickleball. And I'm like, oh, what's pickleball? Because I'd never heard of pickleball. So, he tells me about pickleball. I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. And I didn't think twice about it. And then like 3 months later, he's like, where are your pickleball tees? And I'm like, what's pickleball? It's like, I told you about pickleball 3 months ago. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that thing. So I did more research into pickleball. And I'm like, all right. From that point forward, like everybody started asking me about pickleball, and I finally was like, all right, well, I guess we gotta put together some pickleball t-shirts, because pickleball is like taking over the world. So a lot of stuff like that, it'll come from customers or fans of the brand. Like if I start to see that there's a trend, or we start to talk internally that there are trends, we'll give it a shot. And I feel like we have this opportunity. Like golf will always be the base of our brand. I feel like we're a golf forward brand, but these other sports, this is the thing I talk about quite a bit too. It's like, just because you love golf, it's not the only thing that you love. It's not the only thing that you're into. So especially if you talk to professional golfers, or somebody who either works in the golf industry, half the time they don't even think about golf once they're like done with their job. Like a lot of professional golfers, if they're after they play, they might not touch a club for a month, because they're fishing or hunting or sailing, or whatever it is they do to get away from the game. So thinking about that mentality, it's like, there's other things that people are into that outside of golf, but golf's always the base, and everything kind of spawns off from that.
Yeah, I always go back to the Brooks Koepka quote, where he's just like, I I stumbled in, not really that he stumbled into golf, but he was like, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I wasn't good enough, so I played golf instead.
Right.
And I was like, damn, man, like that. I mean, thanks for being honest. Like, that's why we liked Brooks. That's why we like Brooks, because he's just like, yeah, I'd rather be a professional baseball player. I'm like, I think so would like every single other human being in the world, especially when you see the Rafael Devers contract. Like, I would like to be a professional baseball player too. But it is really interesting when you hear about like him with baseball and exactly what you said, Cam Smith with fishing. And like, I did see that at Harbor Town, by the way. I did see him trying to reel in some.
He
literally went back out onto the course and started fishing after his round. I'm like, dude, there's other golfers out there. Like, you should probably not do that.
Everything, he didn't see anything else. He was like, I get there's a bass in there somewhere.
Oh, it's so funny. But no, but I think overall, like, obviously everything from your guys' golf stuff to pickleball stuff is fantastic. But I do want to get into what this podcast is really about right now, and that is Big East basketball.
Yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to hear is something sad, because I am a defeated man on the Big East basketball side. As a diehard Villanova fan, and John as a diehard Providence College fan, just like Brian is, how does it feel to be me right now? How does it feel to be the best? One of, if not, I know they're not the best team technically. That's Xavier, or whoever else. I don't even care anymore. But how does it feel to be living my dream of going into the Big East tournament and having a legitimate chance at winning it, and then probably going to the NCAA tournament while I sit at home? How does it feel?
It's nerve-wracking. That's for sure. I have we have a target on our back. It's exhausting. I hate it. It's crazy winning so much, and then like this past couple of games I've been like depressed. Like every loss, like you come home and you're just like, wow, that's that ruined my next couple of days until the next one, because we were so high on life for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, the last few years have been unbelievable. First of all, I think Coach
Cooley years. Oh yeah,
another local guy.
I know.
I'm telling you, just.
I mean, reigning coach of the year. They've just done such a great job over the last few years. I actually went to the game on Saturday, and it was probably the worst loss that they've had in like the last like 3 or 4 seasons.
They said since I think 2010 or something like that.
Longer than that then. So I mean, it was awful. So as we had, talked about before we came on, it's like, not exactly how you want to go into March Madness, but again, all it takes is 1 or 2 games. You get hot, you go on a run, and anything can happen.
I gotta ask you, John. I was at the game on Saturday too, but if you were given these, I'm going to tell you 2 players that are currently on the team. If you could have them as freshmen to build your team around, who would you take? Would you take Bryce Hopkins, or would you take Devin Carter?
I mean, I would take Bryce Hopkins. I mean, he is a beast. I mean, I see him getting to the next level. I hope he stays 1 more year. Like, there's been this thing with Friar prospects. Sometimes they leave a year too early. Yeah. I feel like he needs 1 more year, and he has a shot at winning Big East Player of the Year. And even if he does, I still feel like he could stay 1 more year. If he stays 1 more year, he could be a top 10 pick. If he goes this year, he could be a first round pick, maybe later in the first round. But I don't know. I just think he's got an NBA body, and it's tough to teach that. So hopefully. I just hope he stays 1 more year, and then it could be another magical run next year too.
It's almost a good thing for that very reason that he didn't have a great last couple of games, just so he's like, all right, maybe I should stay a couple more.
I got a little more to prove, a little more. Yeah.
It's almost like the polar opposite of Ben Bentel, who just got super, super hot at the end of his sophomore year.
That was my guy too. I thought he was going to be the one.
Yeah,
he was the one, and then he was like, "No, I'm a sophomore. I'm out." And then he's a freaking one of the last picks in the second round. I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, you would have been a god." It was the same thing when Amari Spellman went from Villanova, like after his freshman year. I was just sitting there. I was like, "Dude, like they built this entire team around you coming back next year, and you just won a national championship, and you're going to be the best player on the team next year too. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah, no, It's an epidemic. Again, it's I go back to the God Sham God days. Like he's another one. If he stayed one more year, he would have been an NBA legend. That again, this is just my opinion. The people have expressed this opinion before, but I'm an advocate of guys, maybe staying a little bit longer and seeing what else you can do.
It's like Live. The money's too good. Like
Yeah.
Now they have all the NIL and opportunities to make money, but it's just the money's too good, and you don't want to risk either injury or just not having that year that can get you that. You want to go out while you're at what you perceive is your high. Or
yeah, I know it's a whole, that's a whole nother discussion. That's it's the Wild West out there. It's crazy.
Wow. No. We could talk Friars with you for like 3 hours. So
100%. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do a special NCAA edition.
Yeah, laying up podcasts or something.
Right. Once the Friars do a deep run here.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk Sherrod Curry, Wayne Efajuku.
The crew.
We can do that.
But
I would have to sit on the sidelines for that, because I know like maybe 5 people. No, I'm kidding. But like growing up as a PC fan and then going to Villanova, obviously you lose that fandom a little bit. But I mean, it's great. It's just great to see them back. It's great to see what I met Ed Cooley in 2018 in San Antonio, and I was like, yeah, I'm from like the area, like really happy you're turning it around. He's like, he just looked at me. He's like, just the beginning, man, just the beginning. And then boom, like could be coach of the year again this year. If I'm being completely honest with you, should be at least Big East coach of the year, I feel like. But that may go to stupid Sean Miller, who I don't want to talk about. Like, oh God. But like just having it on that, or actually, it's probably going to Shaka. I just thought about that for a second. It's definitely going to Shaka.
Yeah, I think so.
But just having that back in Providence, I always felt like that was just like having that kind of like the PC spirit back is definitely big for the city too.
Yeah, it's been great. It really has been great. So, and again, I have a feeling it for years to come, hopefully, they keep this run going.
John, I want to pivot a little bit, but keep it local. Go back onto the golf side. Where are you playing these days? You have a membership somewhere? Do you float around? Where's your go-to spot? Talk.
I float around. I don't have a membership anywhere. A lot of my friends have memberships in various places, but I definitely float around. Obviously I don't play as much golf as I'd like, but again, I'll play, wherever I get invited. So,
gotta stop working so hard.
I know. Well, listen, the work and kids definitely, got in the way of my golf game. That's like the typical like that excuse.
Do we have any little golfers?
Not yet. I'm working towards that. I'm definitely, trying to produce some golfers here. So slowly but surely. I mean, they see me around golf. I'm constantly watching golf. There's clubs and golf balls everywhere. So I'm trying to put little hints around. But yeah, I play all the local courses. I've been again fortunate enough to play a lot of the great private courses we have here. Probably my favorite course locally. My two favorite courses locally in the state really are Newport National, which is just such a great golf course. I love linksy style golf courses. Anything that has like a sight line of an ocean, I'm in. And my favorite golf course in Rhode Island that I played is Sakana Golf Club.
Wow.
I just absolutely love that place.
On it.
Yep. It is just such a great little spot. It's just quiet. Nobody goes over there. At Wannamoyset, like closer to to me locally here is great. Agawam Hunt is great. So it's a lot of great golf around. I'm a fan of Triggs. Triggs is another great one.
They're getting some fun.
They've raised the prices a little bit. I remember the old $18 for 18 holes days.
They got a big
used to love those.
They got a big like grant from USGA. They're gonna do some fixins. I mean, that clubhouse is a throwback in time. It is absolutely.
Absolutely. And I've always said, like, if Triggs ever got like a, whether it be a grant or a chunk of money, That's a great layout for a golf course.
Oh,
I
I
mean, it
love
really
the
is.
layout. It's
It would be
Green
George
Road's in
Wright.
great shape.
It would be George Wright 2.0. Like they
Yeah,
would just. And I hope that's what it becomes,
I hope
because
so
I
too.
remember growing up. How many times did we hear that Triggs was going to become apartments? Like how many times that they were like, oh, they're going to sell it to a
Well,
developer.
most
Like,
recent mayoral race, they would think one of them was threatening to do it if he didn't win. So I got an email from Triggs themselves. The subject was "Save Triggs Golf Course," and of course that drew me right in. And
Yeah.
just you gotta vote for Brett Smiley because the competitor was gonna just do that is because you hear. I mean, it's so unfortunate. Like obviously Metacomet and a bunch of
Yeah, I made
other
a comment.
courses, just great courses that unreal layouts, public and awesome and accessible, but that's just the reality of making money. But and the golf game slowing down a little bit. I mean, it's picked up in the most recent years, but it's too bad. It's
Yeah, no, it's and again, like there's just so many great courses, locally, and not just in Rhode Island, but like, southeastern New England and
Mhm.
throughout New England.
Plymouth, like you're saying, Plymouth. I love going
Right,
down there if you're willing to take that drive. It's like once you get there,
100%.
the world is your oyster.
Yeah, it's great.
Thing.
It's great. So there's a lot to offer here, locally.
Mm.
I definitely want to kind of touch on that a little bit more, John, because one of the biggest things that we haven't really had arguments about, because I think all of us are pretty much in agreement on it, because we don't have resort courses up here like say the South does. So like you don't really get like super premier public courses up here unless it's, Granite Links and it costs $200. But like you don't get those 75 to 90 range where they're kept up really well and the fairway, and you're getting good. Like it's kind of like it's either beautiful private like Country Club, Wannamoyset, Agawam Hunt, Newport National, or it's Triggs. Like, and it's like now Trig, like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
that. I'm just wondering, like, what do you think can be done with like a lot of these, public courses where we can, I know it's go play them, but at the same time, when they get too much play, then they're completely overrun, which we've
Yeah.
seen how many times with, I mean, just which again, going back to Triggs alone, getting 20,000 rounds a year. And by the end of August, it's a dirt patch. It's a
Yeah.
goat yard. So like, what do you think can be done on this side just to help public courses within the New England area continue to survive and continue to thrive?
So I think a lot of it is really, to me, an extension of the shift in the industry, right? So, you really since COVID, you've seen like an explosion of golf, and you're bringing more people into the game. You're bringing, a younger demographic into the game, and I think that's also happening on the industry side. You're starting to see, younger, a younger demographic in management positions of people that can make decisions, and a lot of these people are are people that have experienced golf in other parts of the country or other parts of the world. And again, if you go down to Florida or the Carolinas, or you go out to Arizona in the desert, like just like you're talking about, you go to $75 golf course and it looks like it's as nice or nicer than any course, private or public here. So I think that shift in the industry as it continues to happen, it really comes with demand, and then so if the membership is demanding, hey, well, we need nicer conditions, or we'll come play this course if it's offers better amenities. That's when you're gonna, and you're starting to see it. Like again, the fact that Triggs got a grant for any sort of improvement is like, it's like light years ahead of where you would ever thought that would have been not too long ago. And I think that's starting to happen because there's other places around too that are starting to make improvements, add more amenities, really invest in the grounds and the clubhouse. So I think it's happening. It's slow for sure, and I think part of it too is the climate, like where we live. It's just you go to other places, they play golf year round. Here you have 6 months if you're lucky. But at the same time, I think because golf is just, the dynamic of golf is changing, these places are going to have to compete to keep the consumers in.
Couldn't agree more with that statement. And I also think my local course here in Attleboro, Highland Country Club, went out a couple of years ago. I'm sure you probably heard about that. Everyone went over to Pawtucket Country Club and and I grew up playing both courses. So Pawtucket got saved, but at the expense of Highland.
Right.
And now Ledgemont may go out, and then at the expense, and some other great course will get that, and they'll get that membership. So I also think, like, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these places start going kind of the Norton and Foxborough route, where they're going to go semi-private and they're going to start allowing the public on there just to survive and try and keep that good condition up. But at the same time, like, yeah, we need the public to come in and play too.
Yeah, I mean, golf, again, this is true not only from a golf course level, but I think just from an industry level, like, golf needs to become more accessible, right? So, you have the Top Golfs of the world, which is really kind of expanding that just from a general public standpoint. But then you see the 5-iron golfs, and you see the X golfs, and you're starting to see these the pop strokes, and these places that are making golf accessible to a wide range of people, as opposed to just playing golf. But you still are going to have a group of people that just want to play on a golf course and just be outside and play 18 holes. But at the same time, you have to appeal to that audience. You can't, if somebody is is willing to invest in a golf trip, or even if they go to a Top Golf, it's still a level of play that you're used to. Nice amenities like better food and a nice bathroom, and a good practice facility type of thing. So if that becomes the norm everywhere else, like, again, for these courses to survive, they're going to have to do that, make golf more accessible at that level.
That's a good point. Just give me a hot dog at the turn and a swing juice, and
That's right. That's
all I
right.
need. Maybe I always mix in a Snickers too. I love a good Snickers.
Yeah,
Get
you
that
have
blood
to.
sugar up.
You have to.
I don't need that. Those all those fancy meals and stuff from. I mean, Top Golf's great, and I'm pumped they're coming locally, both in Cranston and near Boston. And
Yeah.
but it's kind of like that shouldn't be what it's expected. Those different amenities, you gotta start from the bottom, where you basically write your name on a paper sheet and just go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too, like, like, social media plays a huge part in all of this, So again, if you play a couple of rounds here locally, I mean, if you're a golfer, you're following golf accounts and you're seeing beautiful courses all over the place. And then again, you're reading about these courses in the Carolinas or in Florida that are like super cheap, but really nice. And you're saying to yourself, like, well, why can't my course be like that? So there's definitely a change and an evolution happening in the industry, and it's only a matter of time, but you're going to really start to see that significant shift, where you're going to have affordable golf courses with great amenities. That's going to be more of the norm than not.
I'm excited for that to become the rule and not the exception. So
Exactly.
that'll
It's coming. It's coming. I can see it. It's coming.
And you got into the golf game, the golf branding, at such an early part of the 2000s, and then now with COVID and everything, it just took off in 2020. I mean, has sales spiked? Has everything spiked? I mean, we're talking about golf on the courses, but and more people are playing. Like, does that translate into more business and just your brand just growing, especially with TikTok now and everything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I credit social media for really the growth of the Swing Juice brand, but then also COVID was another booster, because again, we were in a place where our brand was, we were still open for business all through COVID, and a lot of the major competitors of ours were forced to shut down. So we were still shipping T-shirts. I mean, we're really one of the few out there that A, had inventory, B, didn't have to shut down, because we didn't rely on 100 people to make the whole thing go. So we were able to stay open, and again, fortunately, we were able to get through that and really take off and become, kind of moved us. It just moved us along in a good bit. And ever since then, we've kind of kept this momentum. And again, it goes back to, the golf consumer is changing. They're getting younger, they're getting more tech savvy, they're wanting different options. They're trying to, they're trying to stay in this place where, golf is, their favorite thing, but they want to show it to the world, which is great, and it's right where we fall in. And the game's getting more relaxed too. I mean, it's definitely, it's becoming less stuffy and more, fun and inclusive, and that's kind of all the things that we're about.
I wanted to say, like, can you imagine even 5-10 years ago, like a professional golfer wearing a hoodie during a PGA Tour event?
Non-existent. Wasn't even part of the conversation.
And then Tyrrell Hatton does it. Tyrrell Hatton and Colin Morikawa do it, and everyone's like, "Yep, we're in, like we're in on hoodies now." Right. Like, and I love it. Like, I love like this isn't a hoodie, but like I have like a Villanova, kind of like dry wear hoodie that I wear a lot when I go play golf, and like I just think it brings a nice aspect to it. It brings I think they're perfect. And, I know you guys make great golf hoodies as well. So like definitely got to get one of those.
Yes.
Luckily that I'm a little bit slimmer than I have been before. Like they fit better. So that's always helpful. But, like everything is changing in a good way. And I feel like that, with the style to having new, being able to actually wear comfortable, polos, comfortable hoodies, comfortable quarter zips out there. It's just something that has changed golf for the better, especially.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's really kind of the evolution of the Swing Juice brand is really, in a lot of ways, I felt like early on with the beverage, it was, probably a little bit ahead of its time. And I think where we've trended early on with, the apparel side, we were a little bit ahead of our time, and one of the the front runners and in the early stages of that. But I think this is where the industry is going, starting to really see it, come to fruition. So it's just exciting for me to be in the middle of it, and hopefully we can continue this path and, be one of the brands that people look to as, the fun brand one of the fun brands that's helped change the perception of golf in the industry.
And it all goes back to your idea that you just came up with Swing Juice, and you're like, why isn't that a brand? Why is that?
Yep.
You capitalized on that, and then look at you now. I mean, how cool is this story? I mean,
it's been like I said, it's been a long journey, and sometimes the journey has been this, but I've just been focused on what I think could be a good thing, and I've been lucky enough to have a lot of great support along the way, and it's like I said, I'm excited to see what the future brings.
Wow. And then like you said, you're ahead of your time. Golf is not snooty, and Swing Juice is an absolutely great example of a name. I mean, when I think of Swing Juice, I think of you playing with a bunch of buddies, and you're like, time to crack a cold one, get the Swing Juice in. Yep. I'm feeling tight. I mean, it is just perfect. It is absolutely perfect. You were ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for the support. I mean, this is like I said, nothing works if there isn't support from from fans, from customers, from friends, family. So it's all it's all pretty exciting.
John, I gotta ask, do you have any hole-in-ones?
I have one.
Ooh,
I have one.
Now we gotta hear about it.
I have one hole-in-one.
And we may know the course.
So it was at Walpole Country Club. I have a framed picture of it.
Do love Walpole.
So my parents were members there years ago, and I was a junior member there for a long time. So this was right when I was like kind of first playing golf. I was playing with my dad. So let's see, this was on September 23rd, 2004. So actually this was the year I like Swing Juice first became a thing. Which is interesting. I'm just like realizing that now. Like look at this picture. It's so funny. So 6 hole, 150 yards. We just walked up to the hole, grabbed the 9-iron, took a swing, literally hit the green, popped up, hit the stick, went down.
Wow.
Me and my dad like look at each other. My dad's like, did that go in? And I'm like, I think so. So we walk up there and we both like look at the hole and we're like, I can't believe that just happened. So it was super cool to have that happen, like playing with my dad. So it's been that's my only one. I've come close a few other times, but I mean that was a no-doubter, which was I still can't believe it happened.
And of course, you drank a swing juice right before you hit the.
Of course, yeah. I mean, there was no other way.
Right.
No other way.
It's a great plug there. Great plug. You got it.
How about you guys? Any of you hole-in-ones?
Still chasing the aces. Still chasing
Okay.
aces over here. You know, maybe one day.
Keep chasing. You never know. Listen, there's no rhyme or reason. It just happens, And then, then there are guys like Tiger. You name your PGA Tour professional.
23 holes in one or whatever Tiger has.
Right.
Like it's insane.
19 hole-in-ones for Rory. Like just like a silly amount, but that's what you expect from those guys.
And John, usually we ask a bunch of questions at the end, like Brendan said earlier, and we have our standard set of questions. But because you are a local guy, I want to switch this up. They've never heard this question. So this is specifically for you because we know the courses, we're from the same area. I want you to pretend that the PGA Tour only exists in Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts. Okay.
Okay.
I want you to pick a course lineup, one course for each of these. I want you to pick a course for the PGA Championship. I want you to pick a course for the Masters. I want you to pick a course for our link style course for the British Open or the whatever Rhode Island Southeast Open.
Yep.
And I want you to pick one for the US Open. Which courses are you picking?
So I would say for the US Open, I'd go Wanna-Moiset.
Love it.
Just because it's a pretty big golf course, and again, it's just like greens are perfect, great conditions. They do the Northeast Am there, so they can trick that place out and like really do graduated. Actually, I played there last time I played Wanna-Moiset was about a month before the Northeast Am, and I remember I was playing in a tournament, and one of the golf course superintendent assistants came up to us and said, listen guys, replace your divots, like all the typicals. He's like, we have this course exactly where we want, we don't need anybody to mess it up. So I was like, okay. And they're right, the rough was crazy, but it's just a beautiful golf course. I would go with the Masters. I would say I'm going to say Sakana. And again, the two courses aren't similar at all, but I just think Sakana's beautiful. I just think it's just a beautiful place, and it's got a lot of history to it, and it's just a great setting. And again, the settings are not similar at all. But I just think it's a great. It's my favorite golf course in Rhode Island. And the Masters is my favorite golf tournament, so that's why I'm putting those two together. I'm gonna say PGA Championship. I would go with Shelter Harbor.
Wow.
Have you guys played Shelter Harbor?
No, that's my dream course.
That is a great golf course. Like the only thing missing at Shelter Harbor is like an ocean view. Okay. I'm a big ocean course guy, but it's just a beautiful golf course. Clubhouse is great. Great layout of a golf course, just like some really interesting holes, just like a really fun track. And for the Open Championship, I would go to Newport Country Club. Just boom, open. It's a linksy style course. You could also say Open Championship at Newport National, but I'm gonna go with Newport Country Club with, again, the history of that golf course. It really should be the U.S. Open, but I'm gonna go with Open Championship over at Newport.
Phenomenal answers, and
you gotta kind of go with it as the Open Championship as well, just because of the clubhouse. Like literally, the Newport Country Club clubhouse. It's it probably is a U.S. historical landmark, for Christ's sakes. I have no idea, but that thing is, it's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's like, it's iconic. That whole property is just, iconic. It's great.
I'm losing my ball just thinking about that fescue.
Yes. Yep.
Thought of
Yep.
it. I already
Yeah,
lost
it's
3.
great. And it's funny too, like the way they kind of set that course. And again, I've only played it once. And it's just a great experience. But again, they kind of set it up almost like an open championship. I mean, the fairways are kind of, the kind of that same style, link style look and feel. Ball runs out. You get wind in a million different directions. So, and again, the clubhouse is, it's a 10 out of 10. It's just a great spot. But somehow we got to make this like an actual, figure out a way to like play all 4 of these courses in the same year.
Yeah,
that would be, and especially like playing them in the like ideal time frame. So like you play for the PGA Championship, for example, like you play Shelter Harbor in May. For the
Right.
US Open, you play Wannamoisa, although they may not let you play Wannamoisa in June. I'm just thinking about that right now because of the Northeast Ham.
Probably not, but maybe if once the tournament's done, we play then, because that would be the perfect setup.
Yeah, because like the Monday after the Northeast Ham,
Right.
that place, and that's Caddy Day too there. So like, yeah, the members
Absolutely.
aren't even going to play.
That is like the setup that we would
The
do.
Swing Juice Open, baby. We
Yes,
got it.
Mini tour. Swing Juice mini tour.
I love it. I love the sound of this.
Yeah.
I love the sound of this. All right, now I get that. All right, let me see if I can figure this out. I'm gonna keep you guys posted on this.
Yeah.
That'll be a nice little
about,
tour for Rhode Island.
We always talk about like a tournament that we're gonna do because we have we want to call it the Duff Cup, and I met I don't know if you know the Cape Cod golf guys at all, but they're pretty prevalent, and one of the guys who runs it also does woodworking, and he's like, I was like, yeah, like I want to do a hilarious trophy that's on like it's like a big wooden plate at the a big wooden thing at the bottom, and like all ornamentary, and then like this tiny little like wooden tankard on the top with our logo, and then it just says Duff Cup, and it's just like, that's all I want. Like that, it's just so silly, but I'm like, yes, like we need the silliest trophy in the world for like the silliest golf podcast, everything like that, like just as fun, just as a nice little fun thing.
Absolutely, you have to do it. See, these are the things that they're important in life, so you got to do it. You got to do it.
That's all I want. It's just a little tankard on top of a big piece of wood. That's all I want.
The light bulb went off, and now the juices are flowing. If you know what I mean.
That's it. The juice is loose, baby.
Yeah.
Let's keep it rolling.
Oh, he'll beat you in this game any day, Tim.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Duffin Up Swing Juice collab when we.
Right. I'm telling you. Well, this may correspond with this little tour we just came up with.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of courses we can fill in too to have like a full season, but we'll start with the majors there.
Start with the scramble at Triggs. We'll start there.
That could be the 5th major. That could be like the Players, that could
be,
throw in Triggs.
Oh, we're very lucky that we have the guest on this week, so we don't have to go through Brendan's annual "Don't you dare call the Players the 5th." Don't you dare call the player the 5th major.
Triggs, so I had it's such an iconic venue that I had to throw that up there.
There's an Island Green at Cranston.
Very true.
That's the Players. That has to be. Yeah.
And then we cannot invite Country Club of Rhode Island just to get all the Barrington people mad at us. Oh, that would be perfect. I'm just kidding on that side. We love you, Barrington. We love you.
I'm assuming you've been to the CBS Charity Classic.
Yep.
Or that's a cool event. I really
that was a great event. I was sad to see that go. I would love to see that come back in some form or fashion. Again, it was great for the state of Rhode Island, and I think just again for the local. I mean, Rhode Island's a big golfing region. New England is obviously, but Rhode Island specific. So that was a great event to bring a professional, tournament to the area. So I would love to see that come back in some form or fashion.
There's a market there for you. There's an opening.
There's a window. There's a need. There's nothing there yet. So we'll see.
If anybody can make it happen.
Don't think I haven't thought about it. So,
PGA Tour. Why don't you just swing on into Rhode Island, baby? That's
Wheels
all
are
we
turning.
need.
Wheels are turning.
Oh, that's great.
It's there. That'll be great. But
Absolutely.
John, it's been absolutely fantastic.
Same here, guys. I appreciate you having me on. Appreciate the support, and we are going to get on the golf course this summer. So let's, we'll make something happen. We'll figure out where, and we'll get it done.
Absolutely. So everyone listening here, go immediately to swingjuice.com, get one of their either epic polos, their fantastic golf hoodies. I will say the golf and tacos line. Shout out our friend Nelson from Tacos at the Turn as well. The golf and tacos line. Boy, it's a thing of beauty. It's an absolute, and the way you got the tacos on the polo too. Oh, the big boy in me like went absolutely insane when I saw that. I'm I'm gonna need that this summer for sure.
Yeah, tacos is always been my second language, so that's like one of my favorite things we have. I love it, so I'm glad it resonates with you. I'm glad it does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone get over there. Everyone go get that stuff. And again, John, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you jumping on tonight.
Thank you, my pleasure. And let's do it again. Like I said, we'll get on the course and then we'll recap and
oh yeah, that would be good.
Absolutely. Thank you.